This is not as anywhere near like Josh's.
Okay, I got you.
Let me know if you need me to pause to say
No,
something.
you're
off
fine.
record.
I appreciate the invite, everybody. She reached out to me, and I was more than happy to come to any of these things that people have. Everybody's important to me, whether you're in the county or not in the county. I'm a people person. I care about people, strangers. I'm running for sheriff in Mitchell County. It'll be the second time that I'm running. 24 years experience.
You ran before.
I ran in 2010.
That's a long
I
time.
had about 9 years experience then, and I've always had it in my heart to be a servant to the people. And but that's pretty much it. My wife and I have been married 25 years. She's a nurse at Spruce Pine Hospital. We've raised 2 boys. One's 25, named Lachlan, and the other one is 19, Colin. And then we have custody of my sister's son, who is 16. So we got a surprise there, but we were blessed because we were sitting around looking at walls thinking, what do we do now? So we ended up with him. Any questions?
That's it.
Any other
Y'all know
personal
what you
things you
need.
want to know?
Experience where?
Well, I've had experience. I started my career in 2001 in Mitchell County, and after
Sheriff's Department.
yes, sir. After a year and a half, I was promoted to detective. I worked as a detective for 4 years, but my main priority in law enforcement, and on a personal level, my mother and father were drug addicts. They were masking. I know this now, but as a child, I didn't know that. I thought, why are they choosing this over me as a child? But the older I got, I realized that they were masking a mental health problem. And so my grandparents raised me. So drugs were my main priority of getting into law enforcement. And when I was in Mitchell County, I didn't see any opportunities coming up for me to be able to get drugs off the street and get help for people. So the sheriff in Avery County reached out to me and said, would you be interested? He knew that I hated drugs and wanted to work drugs. Would you be interested in being the drug task force agent? And I said, let me think about it. And I thought about it and took the job. So I thought, well, if I can't work drugs here, I can keep them from coming into our county because it's a big circle of people. It's not just, they got to come from somewhere. So I worked undercover up there for a long time. I worked up there 9 years, and it was actually a grant-funded position. So the grant was not available at about year 7. They did away with the grant. So I worked for 5 municipalities up there, and also Tennessee, different agencies throughout North Carolina. I was kind of their undercover guy, But the grant ran out, and every year I'd stress myself to death whether we were going to be able to get the money or not, because each municipality was having to put in a little bit of money so I could keep my job. And finally, I was like, I can't worry about this every year. So I got a job in McDowell County because they knew me. I'd done some undercover work there. So they offered me the job in McDowell County as a narcotics agent. And I also did undercover work down there for about 2 years. And it got to be 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. I was missing out on my son's sports and things like that, my younger son. And I was like, I gotta come back home. And so I came back home and I worked patrol for Mitchell County and then went to SRO, the school resource officer, for 5 years. And my son wanted to go to college. My oldest son's more like me. He wanted to get into a trade type career. But my youngest wanted to go to college. And a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't put it out there, but my son was diagnosed with a very rare heart condition. So I drained my retirement and my 401k because they were telling us he was going to need open heart surgery. So I did that and paid a bunch of bills off. So I knew we wouldn't be able to afford to send him to college. So a friend of mine worked at Lees McRae College at the police department. He contacted me. He's like, hey man, come up here and work, your wife can go get a master's degree in nursing, your son's tuition will be paid. So I went up there. Yeah, that's a
Yes.
no-brainer.
I mean, that's, in college, it's.
So I
yeah.
went up there and worked until Helene hit. And when Helene hit, I seen my people here, and I knew I needed to come back home. So I came back home, and now I'm trying to be your sheriff.
So let me.
Coming back here,
Go ahead.
working in the sheriff's
Mitchell
department.
County, yes, sir. Mhm.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, with your background and your folks and everything, and is it hard for you when you have to come up against somebody who is on drugs? Is your heart soft, and do you have a hard time overcoming that in terms of like arresting versus what other ways of dealing with it?
Well, I see it a lot different than other officers would, because I've been on the side of having a loved one. So yes, I come across a little bit different to those people. And those people to this day, the ones that I've arrested, will shake my hand if I see them out. And I think that's a good thing, because I did my job and earned their respect at the same time. And I think that's what law enforcement officers should do. Now sometimes people won't allow you to do that. They're just, and you have to do things. But for the most part, I would say 99% of the people that I ever arrested would shake my hand the way I treated them, just because of my personal experiences in life.
You still treat them like a human.
I treat them like a human being, because I know there's an underlying reason that they're doing what they're doing. And that's one of the things I want to advocate for is, let's stop just automatically resorting to prison and jail. Let's look and find the underlying cause that these people are on drugs to start with, because there is. Every single one of them have a underlying mental health condition that they're self-medicating
Absolutely.
with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I had another question, but as potential sheriff, do you have goals or plans that you'd like to share with the group that
Absolutely,
if you
yeah.
get elected?
One of my plans is kind of like a diversion plan, and the court system has this, and also the state has it, called the 9096. And what that is, General Statute 9096, and what that is if someone gets caught with drugs for their first offense, they get put on a year's probation, and as long as they test clean and all that stuff, that doesn't go on their record. I would like to extend that as a sheriff to say, look, if you will seek help, we will not charge you with this, but we want you to go get, and I'm not talking about second, third, fourth time offenders. I'm talking about young people, because the way I see things, if you get a felony on your record, you can't get a job, you can't prosper in life. You're going to go right back to the thing
Right,
that got
'cause the
you.
cycle
It's
is-
an endless cycle, and so I'd like to offer that. That's one of my, and I've spoken to some counselors about it, and and if they don't follow through with what they should do, then we'll come back with the charges. No different than what the court system does. I've had a lot of backlash on it, saying no, from other officers saying, no, we just need to do our job and let the courts handle it. And I get that to a certain extent, but it's obviously not working. So why not just extend a little bit of extra incentive for people to, because some people don't know where to go to ask for help. And of course you gotta want help. You can't force people.
That's true.
But that's one of my big plans, and I would also, like to work close with DSS, because we do a lot of things together, and our interests are the same, so I'd like to have a liaison in the office, because there's a lot of miscommunication that can, and when I worked in McDowell, we had that, and if we had a child case, we could go right to them and say, this is what we got, what do you think? And they could run it up the chain. And also just the structure of the department. I want to, anytime you remodel something, you got to tear it out to put it back. And a lot of people said, well, Shane's going to fire everybody. You can't do that. You can't do that. And I don't
You
want
don't
to.
have enough
I'm not
officers to
going.
start with.
I'm not going to do that. We can't. We need to get people involved in law enforcement and wanting to be law enforcement officers. The Malin Community College and even the high school and things of that nature. But I want it to be a place where people want to come and work and retain people for long periods of time, because we've had a lot of turnover. And to do that, we need to be competitive with other agencies. So that and just always being cognizant of we work for the people, because I see a lot in my career, this 24-year career, that people get that badge and they forget who they work for. And I'm not saying we have that. I'm just saying I've seen it.
Happens, right?
Little things like giving people rides, and and then taking their medications, and when there's bad weather and things like that. We need to continue doing that, and be community policing, and as a sheriff, being involved with things like this and other organizations, and that's my plans as sheriff.
So big question, if Cecil wins, you plan on staying?
I would like to.
Okay.
I would like to. This is my home,
Okay.
and sadly today politics is so divisive
It is.
and so ugly.
Yeah.
But I have nothing against Cecil. I think he's a good man. I just want to do a job that he
Right.
do,
Right,
and
exactly.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's not an application process. I wish there was.
Instead of this politics
Right.
thing, yes.
In the application process, you can put 24 years against 15 years and go by your resume. But no, I have nothing against him, and I actually reached out to him before I was going to run and told him that I would keep him. I mean,
Yeah.
I had no intentions of firing anybody.
Right.
I just want to do the job.
Yeah.
So.
Well, going back to some of the changes you were interested in making as far as kind of integrating a little more social work into the police department, is there money for that? Or do you think
yes.
there can be money from the legislature? Because, everybody knows Mitchell is not a wealthy county.
Well, that's a good question, because I've already talked to 2 counselors. One is, he's a licensed counselor, and he works with Freedom Life. Freedom Life's an organization that does it mostly for people that's just getting out of prison or jail, and there is funding available. And he actually can bill insurance companies for these people, or Medicaid.
Mental health.
Yes, for mental health. And that's awesome. So the money's there. It's already there. I just have to give them his card and say, you need to contact this guy.
Nice.
There we go, So the funding's, I've already got that planned out, and it's in place. Because mental health is a national crisis. And you can do a Google search of mental health grants. I mean, you see all the time, they're begging for people to come and get degrees in mental health and substance abuse. That's probably like the #1 career that is needed right now, for more than one reason, not just substance abuse, but a lot of people's got some mental health issues, and then they resort to drugs if they don't go see a doctor and get on the right medications.
I loved the interview, like I said, and I recommend that we all listen to it, Hollercast, about how much you care about kids, how much you care about mental health, and that really shined in that interview. I would like to ask some more questions
Yes, ma'am.
about, should, God forbid, I show up here, or any of the DHS organizations, like CBP or ATF, any of them, they can be immediately, without going through Congress, come to cities and counties. And I understand that you would want to support them should they come. I'm curious to know how you would make sure that the Fourth Amendment rights were secured for everybody, citizen, non-citizen, migrants, immigrants, be they here on legally or not.
Right. Well, yes, I would support your organizations, whatever you do. That's your First Amendment right. Nobody should interfere with that. Now, if a federal agency comes to our county and they have the proper warrants and stuff in place, there's nothing I can do as a sheriff to keep them from doing their job. There's nothing I can do as long as they have the warrants and stuff in place.
And if they don't, which seems to be the case. they don't.
If they don't, I would tell them that, I would like to see the warrants and things of that nature. But in the end, I still couldn't stop them because they're a federal agency.
Even if they don't have a warrant?
I can't do anything. It would be obstruction. And so that would be something that would be a retroactive thing that I would have to contact somebody within the federal government and say, hey, this agency showed up and didn't have the proper paperwork. That's something that I could do as a sheriff, but as far as stopping them, there's no way. But I could make everyone safe.
How
That would
you
be
do that?
by protecting y'all, by getting in front of y'all and making sure that, like the incident that happened in Minneapolis.
Which one?
Yeah.
Still
The guy taking the
Yeah.
pictures.
That looks great.
Yeah,
Yes.
last one.
I try to not look at that stuff because it upsets me, but just on different levels. But I would make sure that didn't happen. Now, you have a First Amendment right, but I would tell the people, okay, if you're gonna protest, be sure not to get out in front of these people. Do not antagonize these people. Do not, just for your safety.
But how about the actual immigrants who might be getting arrested without warrants, without judge-signed warrants?
It would go back to the federal government. There's nothing I could do as a sheriff.
Okay, what they're doing now, excuse me for interrupting.
Please.
So what's going on now, and I know that it is hard to watch, it's hard to, the whole thing
It
is
is.
hard. We are all soaking it up like sponges because we have children and grandchildren that we have to know what's going on. And we
Absolutely.
see it and we know what it is. So I urge you to go ahead and watch it,
Yeah,
cause you got to. But they're not just picking up immigrants, and you know that. They're picking up brown people. And they're picking up brown people that breathe. It seems to be the only thing. And a lot of American citizens. So if you watched the hearing yesterday, and you may or may not have done, probably didn't have time, the people that they had testify were all three American citizens. One lady had been shot 5 times, and then the shooting was sort of a trophy for the guy that shot her.
I haven't seen
Yeah, it was pretty bad. The lady who was pulled out of her car that was trying to get to the doctor appointment, you might have seen that. She was a lady who had autism and a
Brain
traumatic
injury.
brain injury. She used a wheelchair, but they decided that she didn't need a wheelchair, she could drive. We all know that there are people who can drive.
that. Absolutely.
Okay, so there's all kinds of really egregious things that are going on.
Right.
I'm right here, I'm from right here in Mitchell County.
I understand.
You know my youngins,
Yes, ma'am.
brother, when I see this stuff, I know it for what it is.
Right.
And it is not,
it's illegal.
it is illegal. It is not people who are doing law enforcement,
Right.
which everything you described, every single thing you described is law enforcement. Fabulous. Oriented toward the community, just exactly what we want to vote for, okay? But the stuff that they're doing is not. It is terrorism. It is a paramilitary force that is acting for other people's benefit. And they're gonna come here because we got brown people.
I hope they don't.
And they
show
got
up
a
here.
3,000 people a day, or
Right.
Quota,
what's the quota? A month,
3,000 a day,
a day?
a day.
So that's
Right.
how come we're upset about this.
Well, I understand.
And to be
I
clear,
understand.
we're not worried about ourselves.
No.
Taking the liberty to speak for everybody. We're worried about our neighbors.
I
The
understand.
ones that are brown, who are being stopped. And if you haven't seen the term yet, Kavanaugh stop
Yep.
is what's happening. Basically, they can say, you don't look like you're from around here. Show me your papers.
Yeah.
Which,
That's
as an
going on.
American,
As
everybody
egregious
should
as
be
anything.
really pissed off that
Right.
anybody should
Ask for
be
papers.
forced to show their
Right.
papers.
It's good.
So we're not worried about ourselves. We're worried about our neighbors. I understand.
Right.
You don't, even as sheriff, you won't have a police force of 5,000.
Yeah, big
Right.
enough to,
Feds.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, like our SWAT team's probably made up of 12 people, so what could we do? All I can do is put out information to say, hey, if you're gonna protest this, or if you're gonna do this, this is how to stay safe. And to our neighbors, this is what you need to do if you are approached. That makes sense,
It
you know?
does. Well, I'm gonna give you something.
Do you have, I'm in Yancey County, but this applies all over the United States. As a police officer or sheriff or whatever, the Spruce Pine Sheriff's Department, Police Department, do they have a listing of brown or black people who have records?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
We actually, and
Because they're arresting people who were here legally, temporary protective status, TPS,
right,
all other kinds of legal, they're here legally,
right.
and that doesn't matter.
Well, and they're not
But
arrested.
they're not arresting criminals, they're arresting 5-year-old children,
Well-
and 2-year-old children.
And as I think Cynthia was
Yeah.
about to say, they're not arresting them, they're detaining them and
Right,
putting them
well,
Yeah, they
in,
don't
they're housing them in
charge.
other
They
states.
take them, they
Yeah,
put them on a
yeah.
plane and send them out as quick as they can.
Well, I can tell you, go ahead.
So the criminality, we all support that if there's an illegal here who's a criminal, a
Yes.
felon,
Oh, yeah.
a sexual abuser,
Yes.
get
We
him
don't even
and
care if
get
they're
him out of the
illegally
country.
here.
And I honestly
Get 'em out of the
believe,
country.
They can be
But-
citizens, and if they're the bad
Yeah,
guys, they
citizens
can take
too.
them.
But don't get citizens out of the country because we got rights. But everybody's got rights here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I agree with
it's
that.
a shit show. Excuse my French.
it is.
But it is, and I know your hands are probably tied to a large degree.
When it
but,
comes to the federal
But
government, yes.
supporting the citizenry of
I can do that.
Yancey County, Mitchell County. Do you put an alarm out when you know ICE is coming? You know, I mean,
Right.
is that something
Is
that
that considered?
is that considered
Yeah.
interference
obstruction?
or
It would be.
Yeah.
It would
I
be.
know it would be, but
Well, so you need to know, you need to know that that's what we'll be doing.
Well, that's
Yeah.
We'll be putting out an
Yes.
alarm,
well, I've got
and you
that.
probably won't get it
Right.
unless you got somebody that's.
And that's
you know,
that's your right.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
right to do.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
But as a sheriff, I couldn't do that because I swear an oath.
yeah, I
you
understand
know,
that.
It's
And
not
that
just-
oath is for
it's
you
swear an
and
You
you.
swear an oath to us.
Us.
Well,
yeah,
you
you.
swear an ooth also to the Constitution.
To the
Constitution.
And the
Constitution.
Constitution
And so there are
protects those
judges
people.
still in
Yes.
this county,
Yes.
and you could approach the judge and say,
I would have to
"Excuse
go
me,
to a
Hannah."
federal judge, but yes, I could approach a
You'd
federal
have to go
judge.
to, like,
Have to go to
Asheville or something.
Asheville.
Yeah.
Okay.
And say this is what's going on here.
And then your deputies, if they want to freelance with ICE or CBP or
Yeah.
Would you
AFT,
support
you
that?
can let them
Or
do
allow
that.
I think it would be against their rights if I didn't let them, but I could say you either work for one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, true.
That's
That's
what I needed
yeah.
to hear.
Does that
Because
make
if
sense?
you
Yeah.
say
You
you
choose
get to
one or
keep
the
your
other.
job
Yeah.
and you get to do this,
Right.
Yeah,
eh,
It's like a conflict of interest.
it is a conflict of
Yeah.
interest, yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Like
completely
working for Microsoft
unconstitutional.
and Apple at
Yeah.
the same time or something. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's-
could say you either do this
Right,
or work
yeah.
here.
It's
Yeah.
a little bit more than that. It's a little more than a conflict of interest at this point because we're, when you look at what's going on from, at the hands of ICE and CBP, and what they're being allowed to do, the people that are now on the front line doing what they're doing, they may decide in their hearts that they're doing the right thing and they say their
That's-
prayers every night and whatever. I don't
Right.
care what they say.
Right.
Because if you look at what they're doing, that's not what it is. So if you've got somebody who, how would you handle it if you've got somebody who does go to work for them? Because, I mean, freelancing, you're already saying you make them take a choice, so maybe that moots this whole question. But they've told something about themselves.
And it's
It
like
doesn't
free,
fit with what you just described about yourself.
it's free will of what they wanna do, kinda like our free will with God. And if they choose to go that direction, then I would separate myself from them, and what they do is their choice, you know.
Because we have to stand by the Constitution.
We have to stand by the
You
Constitution.
know,
I
I'm
believe
retired
that.
military, and
Yeah.
damn it,
Yep.
it's.
I agree, and like you said earlier, we need to get the gang members, MS-13, and but here in Mitchell County, we're very fortunate. We don't have that. We've got good, upstanding Hispanic citizens,
Yes.
and a lot of them are my family.
Well, good.
You could look at my Facebook and say, oh, that's my family. And I hope that that never comes here.
Me too.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna change the subject. Is being a sheriff's deputy a living wage in Mitchell?
When I first started, we could have got food stamps, my wife and I. Now,
Wow.
you're just enough to make ends meet. But as
Barely.
barely.
The second question come to mind, as you're talking about all your experience, I didn't hear administrative experience.
Well, in narcotics,
Leadership experience,
Right.
and that's different being,
right. Well, in narcotics, when you work narcotics, you are in a different role of leadership because you have what's called confidential informants, and you have to oversee them, and that's a lot harder to oversee a confidential informant than it is a police officer. Like, you have to drug test them, you have to do fingerprints, you have to do all that stuff, and make sure that they're not using themselves, and you have to keep eyes on them 24/7. And so, as far as leadership, and like even with rank, with being a narcotics officer, you're pretty much yourself. Like, sadly, like when you work narcotics, you can't let the people in the department know what's going on, especially in a small county, because word might get out, not on purpose, but by accident. And but as far as leadership, you know, I've got the leadership abilities because my track record shows that, with 24 years of experience, and out of 748 people that I've arrested, I've lost one case. So I would call that leadership, and by just the way I approach things, my common sense approach, the way I care about people, I would make the sound choices and decisions. When you talk about leadership, say, you know, Cecil's a captain, okay? There's some leadership roles that goes on there, but at the end of the day, the sheriff is the leader of the department in a small department. But going back to my experience in other places, I've seen leadership from different people, and I've seen what leadership works and what leadership doesn't work. And that's, you know, with DEA task force, when I worked with them, I saw several different leaders and leadership. And if the way I see it, if you've only been in one area and seen the way things are done in this area, in this department, that's the only thing you know, you're not going to really have any change. It's going to stay the same. And I just want to I want progress, you know.
is there any continuing education?
Oh, absolutely. And I have taken leadership classes.
Yeah, and Shane, if you
Certification.
remember when we talked on the phone, one of the questions I had for you was about like the, you know, combining Spruce Pine and Mitchell County, and how you wanted to approach like with training and stuff.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I would like to send an officer to training, any training that they want to go to, because that is not only takes liability off of them, but it takes the liability off of the people, because if we get in a lawsuit, the people's the ones that ends up paying from their tax dollars. So what I had thought about doing is actually integrating with Spruce Pine, and a sheriff can hold a person's certification, swear them in if they have the training and standards, which we could do that with Spruce Pine officers. That way they could fill in a person's slot while they go to training, and vice versa. So that way we could have anybody that wants to go to training could go, and we'd have a trained officer taking their place while they go to these trainings. And also, the sheriff holds other people's certifications that are law enforcement officers. So we could actually use them as part-time officers, just put them with another officer. That way, you know, you wouldn't just be setting somebody free. But most of these people have experience, they've just gotten out of law enforcement, you know, and we're still holding their certification, or retired, you know. So that's stuff we could utilize to get some training, and I'm all about training. I love training, CTE training, with the cognitive, stuff like autism, diabetics, how to deal with those situations. That's huge, in mental health. Any training that they want to go to is beneficial, in my opinion. And like when I worked in Avery County, my boss, Bill Burleson, if I put a training on his desk that I wanted to go to, there was no questions asked. I went to Nashville, Tennessee. I went to Florida 9 times, and this was all beneficial stuff. I actually got to meet the president of Mexico in Nashville, and they came in and they had the federales for carrying guns, like protecting them. And this was at the Gaylord Opryland Motel, and got to speak with the drug czar of Mexico and talk about the cartels and their influx into the cash going out from here and the drugs and the stuff coming in and what to look for. I mean, Tweety Bird. If you see Tweety Bird in a car, you know the air freshener with Tweety Bird? Well, I know this is kind of strange, but I'm just telling you little things that I learned while I was in that class about the cartels. Who chases Tweety Bird?
No.
Excuse me, Sylvester.
What is Sylvester?
Cat.
What color is he?
Gray.
Black and
Black
white.
and white. Oh,
So everything is symbolic.
yeah.
So if you see a Tweety Bird sticker on somebody's car, or that could be a red flag, and that little things like that we learn. It's and talking to that, and we actually got to meet the guy that caught Pablo Escobar. That was it was awesome. But yeah, sorry I got off there. Just looking back, when all this stuff comes back to me when people ask questions, and
We're gonna have to call it there, though. We've got
Okay.
kind of
okay,
Jeremy's got it.
Do the county
Probably
commissioners
so. I worked for
set
Safeway for a while.
she's my adopted
wages for
Oh,
the sheriff's
okay.
department?
I probably.
I believe they
Actually, I think they do.
Actually, yes.
So this is a good time to get
Yeah.
to know.
That's right, get to know each other.
Because I'm gonna advocate for
Well,
better
we have
wages,
to do
because
Yeah.
every county I've ever lived
sheriff's
in,
office page.
the attrition rate for sheriff's office is terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Because it's a training
Benefits.
ground for
Yeah.
every other PD that pays more. And it don't take much of a PD to pay more than the sheriff's department pays the deputies. So
Yeah.
the way to stem that is to get county
Better
commissioners
benefits.
to up
That
the
will
wages
pay.
for sheriff's
Yeah.
deputies.
I
You
I
can
think
even
all
reverse
of
the
our
flow.
county employees deserve more than they're getting now.
Well, when
especially-
there's a discrepancy of somebody making $82,000 a year, and then another deputy making $44,000 a year,
That's a big difference.
you got to ask yourself why.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and that's something that I could do. And
Yeah. Yeah. It's a question I should be asking.
Yeah, make a more level
and
playing
it,
field.
and it is public information. You can look at the salaries on there. Of course, don't let it fool you. You know, the salaries include insurance and all that stuff. So you would have to break it down into the take-home pay, but still $82,000 for one person, and
Yeah,
you know, that's a
yes.
big discrepancy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
appreciate it.
thank you. Some cards here for everybody. It's got my personal cell phone number on it. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, please call me. And I mean that. So,
If we get attacked again, can we call you on your cell?
did you get attacked?
Well, one of us did, you know,
Was
No
that the
Kings
deal?
won,
That was the
somebody got
Burnside one.
attacked.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had somebody flash their gun, and we had 2 people trying to get us to swing at them.
Was this
Yeah.
in Spruce Pine?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, the gun and one of the people trying to get us to fight with it was in Spruce Pine.
Well, maybe he should look at the website and see this lady's. We posted her picture and her holding the gun.
Mm-hmm.
pass
Well,
it.
we posted it on a
Jeez.
private forum, but
Well,
I can
yeah.
send you.
I was about to
Spruce
say.
Pine Police have the information, but if there's anything you can do to
Yeah.
juice it
Yeah.
forward.
The brandishing a gun in public is
But,
illegal.
and the thing,
right?
it is, it is.
And at a protest.
And at a
Yeah.
I just don't understand, you know, people have the right to protest whether you agree with what they're
Exactly.
protesting or not.
And people have the right to disagree.
That's
And
right.
people have the right to disagree.
That's right.
Not to
They
flash a
could
gun.
counter protest
And,
across the street if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're all people.
Mhm.
And not everybody thinks the same. That's the way God designed us.
It'd be a boring world if we did.
It would, that's
Yeah.
true. But, no, everybody should be safe in their peaceful protest.
Exactly.
That's
In
right.
their peaceful protest.
What if ICE did show up and they started, they were pulling people out of cars and pulling your car doors open and just, you can't do that. You know, lawfully, you can't do that, open people's car doors and pull them out when you barking orders at them and they, like 12 people saying stuff, like they did with the girl that was testifying today. And she was disabled and telling them she's disabled and they didn't care. Would you,
Well, and I apologize
step
for not
in?
being up to date with that stuff.
no, it's just every day, every hour,
Right.
something new, so it's
You know,
hard
if
to
I,
keep up.
if I had time to sit and look at all this, and I will, I seen the thing in Minnesota. That's the biggest thing that stuck out to me, because it was, I honestly, like I'm wide open right now with this stuff, but it's stuff I do need to know about.
If they were doing that, would you be able to stop that, even though they are federal agents? I mean, if they're just not following the law at all and they don't have warrants and they're just yanking
Well,
people around.
that's something that whoever their boss is, would have to run it up the chain. I mean,
Well, unfortunately, it's coming from the top. You know, it's
Well,
coming from, no,
I know,
seriously, it is.
I know, but that's just like anything else.
And I'm
like-
not talking about that guy. I'm talking about closer to them.
Mhm.
But they've been told to do that, so
Mhm. And that, that's
create terror. That's the.
that's in a.
And they've got total immunity, so it's a free-for-all.
Well, they don't have to tell them.
Yeah, they don't.
think
They don't
they're
have to
gonna
tell
get
them.
prosecuted.
Prosecuted.
Yeah, they're gonna
that's
get- they're gonna get
that's
prosecuted.
far out of the
Murder
realm
is
of
not a-
all I can do
Statute
is
of
protect
limitations on
people
murder.
and tell them what to do and what not to do. That's what I can do.
Well, you'd be telling us what to do and what not to do instead of them. And they're the ones breaking the law.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think that's what
problem.
we're trying to
That's the
explain
problem.
is that because you trying to protect us and prevent and create a barrier, like, you know, if it came up to that kind of
Right.
scenario, trying to protect us,
Mhm.
we're gonna be filming them, we're gonna be doing the
Right,
stuff
right,
that the
right.
Minneapolis people are doing,
Right.
blowing a freaking
Whistle?
whistle like
Mm-hmm.
a maniac till my breath gives out and taking pictures and doing all that. And will we get in front of them? No.
No.
In between? No, we won't do any
That,
of
and
that.
that's smart,
Yeah.
stay off
Well,
to the
it's-
side
yeah.
and that's like any obstruction of us doing our jobs,
Well, we're not gonna do any obstruction, that's not.
That's right. But many of the people getting attacked were not obstructing.
Right.
And I understand, and I wasn't there, and I wasn't part of that. Did it happen? Yes.
We
But
all
that's
know because we have
yeah.
eyes
Right.
and people video
right.
and we don't.
And that's something, sadly, as a people, the nation's gonna have to come together
Mhm.
and go to, at the federal level.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. That's why we're here.
Because, like, just a scenario, say I see somebody get pulled out of a vehicle and they clearly have the ICE or, Border Patrol stuff on. And I go try to intervene with that, I may make things worse, by grabbing hold of the ICE, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well,
No, it doesn't
we
take
can narrow it down just a little bit. I know we're going over, but, so, they're probably gonna come to that nice new sheriff's department.
Mhm.
They're probably gonna come in there and they're
And
gonna say,
it's
hey
wrong.
guys, can I use your, facility? I gotta
And,
pay.
and I would do
whatever.
that
Yeah.
and I would, I'm all for them doing it the right way.
Mhm.
And that's having a judge's warrant. And going after certain individuals that they have a warrant for.
Right,
And that's, if you can look that up, and that's the process that they're supposed to go by.
that's what we're asking.
And if they don't go by that process, then yes, I could reach out to whoever's over them. Now, whether it will do any good or not, That's beyond me.
We just want your
You can
assurance that
document
you
it.
would do that.
I would do that.
And you could
Yeah, I
document
would
it,
do that.
right? I mean, that way
Yeah.
there is
And I
some
could document
history
it,
of
yes, and I
Yeah.
could document that. I mean, I don't think anybody with a heart would want people treated that way.
That's the thing.
But,
They're heartless fuckers.
yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody with a heart wants to see people treated that way. But if they have the proper paperwork and reason for being there, I want the cartels out of I want the
You got an
troublemakers.
email on that?
No, it's got
Cell phone,
my email will be on that. You
Okay,
can look in
good,
that.
because maybe when we find these things that we think that would help you, I mean, for real, and I'm not being facetious at all. If you wouldn't mind, and we could,
You can send me that, and you know, I would be glad. I mean, like I said, I'm all about being proactive. And if I can save somebody's life from, you know, how to act if a federal agent approaches you, things of that nature. That's what we need to do, and just education and awareness. That's something that a sheriff can do, and I would be more than happy to do that. Would I ever stand in the way of a law enforcement officer doing their job with the proper authority and paperwork? No.
of course, neither
And
would
you
we.
can't stand in the way if they're not doing it right either. It's-
Right, I would just
two
have to.
wrongs don't make it right.
But
Right.
you can
Break the law by
observe
obstruction
and not
while they're
participate.
breaking the
Well,
law
it's
by
just
doing
like-
something unconstitutional.
Well, it's just like us, like the same with us, like suppose, and I've had to do this in the past with officers that have gotten out of line. I had to file a complaint, and those officers got fired. So that's how we'd have to approach that, you know?
That's why you don't see, I mean, Minneapolis and St. Paul PD are huge, but you don't see them jumping in between because they can't.
They can't. They legally cannot, but they can go up the chain. Now, like I said, whether that's gonna help or not, I don't know, but we just have to come together as a people and say, look, here's something with y'all's group. People believe when they see y'all out there that you're just hate-filled people.
Yeah, we know.
You know what I'm saying?
They do.
If you would let them know that you're, like, what you said earlier actually surprised me, because I thought you was against, any type of, sending people back to their countries, but when you said,
If they're mad,
you want the bad people gone.
Absolutely.
Let people know that,
Yeah.
because they believe that you're out here not wanting
Right.
anything
Anybody.
done.
Right. No.
So be transparent with that, and people will be more understanding, and you'll have less, you know.
Friction.
If your sign says "Go after the cartels," people's gonna be like, "Brr, brr," you know.
I think we'd be happy, if you get elected, we'd be happy, you could have a meeting with all your officers, and we'd be happy to talk to them.
Oh yeah, well I'd be happy to do that, you know. And the good thing about it
Let
is,
them know who we are.
yeah,
I hate to
and that's what you
interrupt,
need to
but I'm
do.
gonna
Yeah.
have to sneak my way out. Or
All right.
I'll be late for my
Hey,
next
bye, Jeremy.
meeting.
Good luck on your journey.
Well, thank you.
Good luck.
I'll talk to you all again soon.
But you know, that's
They
something.
also think that we're hired to be here.
Yeah.
And that we're bussed in, that's
This
another
is
one.
my home.
I
I mean,
understand.
I wasn't born here, but I did get here as fast as I could.
Right.
Truly, that is, I'm the bumper sticker. That's me.
And you're right, and you know, some people are hired.
None of the people that are
No,
here are
no.
hired.
I'm not talking about your group.
Oh, no, none of them are.
Nobody's
No,
hired.
none of
Who's
them.
hired? Tell me
Let-
who
let
you
us
think's
clear-
hired, because truly, if there are
Nobody's
hired
hired.
people, we'll go talk to them.
We're
Okay.
part of the largest organization in the country doing this.
Okay.
Nobody is hired. There's a lot of gray-headed people. You know why? Because we know what's going on. We
Right.
can see it. No,
Nobody's getting
we
paid.
The
can-
only people that were hired in recent memory are ones that went to the Capitol on January 6th.
Yes.
Yes.
Those buses were paid for, those people were paid to go there.
They
And-
tear it
and
down.
we-
Terrorize the
Yeah,
Capitol.
we
We
seriously,
regularly
we're not hired.
pay our own gas,
No,
we
nobody.
pay for
Yeah, I
our
don't
own
think y'all
signs.
are.
No, well, no,
But
none of them are.
I do know that there are some agitators.
Yes, but
Oh,
they're not
absolutely.
hired.
Of course.
They're not, they might be hired
And
by
they're
somebody
sent in,
else.
there's some sent in to agitate things, to get things out of control. I do know that for a fact from intel, you know.
It's on
Around,
both sides.
around here.
Not around here, no,
That's what I'm
no,
saying.
no, I'm
People
talking
drive
about
by when we're
like Seattle.
protesting, roll their windows down and
Mhm.
say, go home, go back to Asheville, we don't want you here, you don't live here, go home.
Right,
Or get
And they
back on
don't
the
think
bus.
we're from here, and
Get a
it's just,
job and.
yeah.
you know, it's
And-
disheartening.
But we can't,
But then
we
again-
can't change those people's minds.
No,
I guess
You're
the good
not.
thing is they don't know who
You
you are.
can't.
I'm just saying,
Oh, they
if
do,
you
because they film
hear,
us as they go
people
by.
saying,
Yeah.
then I hope you can share your experience that, hey, I met with a group of
Right.
protesters, and they are from here.
And-
They live here, this is their home.
Right, and that goes back to what I was saying, is let people, not that you have to, not that you know, you shouldn't have to put up with that, but we as law enforcement officers, we get that daily.
Oh, I know.
We get spit on, we get stuff thrown at us,
Yeah.
we get told to go back home. I mean,
And you
but
don't
we kinda
shoot
signed
them
up
in
for
the
that, is
face.
what people say. No, we didn't sign up for that.
I know.
And so, you
And
know,
we
I
can
understand.
take it.
Yeah, well, I can take that, but should I have to? No. But that's where, you know, being transparent with people, saying, you know, we agree with sending the bad people, the people that are causing problems here.
Absolutely.
But we wanna keep our good neighbors, our good people. And the
Which-
majority
which-
of them are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hardworking,
Hardworking, family oriented.
yes.
Bet my best friend, I could call him at 3 o'clock in the morning and he would come and do anything I asked him, and vice versa. When their house burnt down, I was the first one there.
I know
And,
we need to wrap up, and I hate to interrupt you, but I'm gonna say this about one last thing about the paid stuff. So, every time that is said, and I know that there probably are some people, but
Mhm.
I can tell you that they're not on their side.
I understand, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But every
understand.
time that is said, it delegitimizes and ruins our credibility.
Right,
And what's going on right now is a movement across the country that is unlike anything that anybody in this room or even our parents have ever seen.
right,
And it is focused toward saving America. And you can say, well, all hearts and flowers, you know, she sat there with all that shit. No, this is a real thing. It's really happening, and it's really happening to us.
mhm,
And so when you see the pictures, and I know you see, if you see watch the news, the ones that will show it, of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people, like it was on not just hands off, the last No Kings.
mhm.
It's a real thing. And if there are paid agitators, they are such a minute number
I don't know
there.
who would be paying.
Because we're able to
Well-
keep it peaceful. Here's how I know. Because we're able to keep it peaceful.
Mhm.
Because the numbers of things that are happening are so small that the mainstream media, which would love to show,
Mhm.
you know, people doing bad stuff, are
Right.
not showing it. And that's because it's not happening.
Right.
Okay? So please, when you hear people say it,
Yeah, and, you know, I'm
please
just basing
tamp
that
it
on
down,
on the
okay?
things that I've researched on, and it's not the No Kings necessarily, it's, you know, some outside sources having some funding toward, the Democratic Party and things like that, like, you know, from money coming in overseas to fund.
Oh, the Russians.
Yeah.
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 Well, see, the Russians, bless the
Yeah.
Russians. Them Russians wanna see us blow up.
Crumble.
They wanna see it all blow up.
As they're fueling the fire.
Okay, so that's not the people in the streets with the banners.
No, you're right, you're right.
Okay?
No,
Okay.
and I'll, you know,
Got that established.
what you're doing is, I mean, that's your right.
And because you're a good guy and you know your community, because you're out in it, you can help de-escalate.
I
That's
can.
one way
I can.
in which should ICE and ICCP,
Absolutely.
BP
Absolutely.
and ATFT
I
and all
agree.
the others come, you could just say, I'm here to observe, and Danny, why don't you just get out of the car, and, you know,
Yeah.
you can help
Right.
that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
De-escalate.
I'm a
because
great
they-
de-escalator.
They don't know how to de-escalate.
They don't.
They'll tell
And-
you that.
And, you know, they're
They're not
almost
paid to
militarized.
de-escalate.
And, you know, as a law enforcement officer, I don't like to see, people getting hit with frozen ice bottles and things like that, you know, the same as you don't like to see your
It's
people.
not indivisible people throwing frozen ice bottles.
No, and those are your
No,
agitators.
That's the agitators.
And, you know, it ruins it for people that's doing it the right way. And that's where education from a sheriff needs to be put on.
Right, people who, they
If
trust you, so if you're
Yes.
the one who
Well, I
says,
could
hey,
say,
look.
hey, I met with these people. These people aren't against sending,
Exactly,
Yeah.
right,
sending.
and they wanna
sending
protect
the
your
card-
rights.
And they
Yeah.
wanna protect your
Yeah.
rights.
Yeah.
They're actually protesting out there because they want it done the right way.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly, that's exactly it.
Hopefully you can go back and share this experience that you've had tonight with the
Absolutely.
other officers
Yeah,
in
currently.
Spruce Pine, sheriffs and the police
Mhm.
department.
Absolutely.
I really would appreciate you to do that.
Absolutely, I would do that, and
We're committed.
this
to
is,
this.
I mean, what you said earlier really opened my eyes, and don't think of me bad for that, but I had a preconceived notion that you were just totally against ICE.
Oh,
But we
And-
don't-
I'm totally against ICE.
We
The
don't
current,
like
the current,
them.
incar-
Yeah.
The stuff
Shane,
that falls
the
from the
current
sky
incarnation
especially.
of ICE, I would be willing to say we were all against that.
Yeah, we're
because they
against what
are
they're doing.
But
mass,
the concept,
unidentified thugs. Now,
the overall
what
concept.
ICE was,
Yes.
even just 2 years
Well,
ago,
even Obama's
not
ICE
necessarily.
who deported like crazy.
I mean, yeah,
Yes,
and people who are here illegally don't need to be here. People who are here illegally and are criminal elements
Absolutely.
really
Right.
don't need to be here.
But having,
But
yeah,
we're-
those who have had like their, they were here
They're following the
temporarily or
process.
whatever, and then the process is stripped from them, that's a whole different.
That's the
animal,
other
too.
thing that's going
Yeah.
on with the current
Right,
incarnation
right.
of
Yeah.
ICE is they're canceling court appearances, which immediately makes that person deportable.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
just they're just going about it
Another
in order to meet a quota.
Another misconception, people think if you come over here that it's a felony. No, it's
No,
not a
it's misdemeanor.
felony.
That's right.
It's not even a misdemeanor. It's not a
A lot of people
misdemeanor.
don't
I
know
thought it
that.
was a
Shane.
misdemeanor.
Okay.
If you get deported
Oh,
and
then-
come back,
then
it's a
it's-
felony.
Right, but if you just come
Just
the first
being
time,
here overstaying your visa is not a crime.
Yeah,
it's just,
and
So
but
they
that's how
on
they're
expired
treating it.
yeah.
Yes.
I would say that's what we're against.
That's why we say we're
And that's
against
where
ICE.
people need to actually research that instead of making their own decisions. They should research, hey, is this a felony? Is this
We've
a
been
crime?
trying to tell people.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
trying. They
Well,
don't
I have
wanna hear it,
researched
so
that.
they're confused.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just racist.
Yep.
I mean, let's
True.
call it for what it is, and
Yeah.
that,
You get to do it.
and I hate that because these are people of our community,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and
Just good people
the
trying to live.
99% of them are contributing.
Yeah.
Right, more
This
than-
nation's, this nation's economy depends on immigration.
Absolutely,
Yes.
Oh, in so many
absolutely.
ways.
Which
Right
needs to
now,
be fixed.
We're in a very precarious spot
Yeah.
because people,
Mhm.
not just unskilled, but highly skilled people are starting to go other places. They
Right.
don't wanna come here
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of what's going on, and from an economic standpoint, this country is gonna be in some serious trouble.
Well, I think what hurts me the worst, and I'll let y'all have your meeting, is I've got friends that are scared.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they call me and they're like, I've heard that ICE may be coming here, they're in Asheville.
That's
And
close.
I've said, listen, I was like, it's easy for me to say, don't worry, but I don't want them to worry.
Don't panic.
Don't
Don't
panic.
panic.
And I said,
Worry.
look, I
Yeah,
said,
they
Yeah.
should be worried.
I
Keep
said,
your
look,
eyes
you know,
open,
just do what you're supposed to do. Go to work every day like you've been doing for the past 30 years. My friend's been here 30 years. And everybody loves his family. Like, so I don't think anybody in Mitchell County, I mean, if you want somebody to join your cause, let somebody mess with them. Because they're well-loved people. And
I wish we could get some brown-skinned legal Americans to join us at the protest.
I'll talk to Jennifer and have her come to one of your meetings. And, because she actually passes these out in the Hispanic, just because she wants her people to be safe.
Just lost
Well, they need to
Cabezas.
know not to open the door. They need to know
I've
what the
met
protocol
Jennifer.
is, to
Yes.
not open the door.
And
And ask for the warrant.
Ask for the
All this
warrant.
stuff.
You got to have that warrant. That's in black and white. That's in black and
Signed by a
white.
judge,
A federal judge, not just any judge, a federal
Well,
judge.
they're not signed by judges at all.
Yeah,
But
they're
yeah.
administrative
They're,
warrants.
yeah,
That's what they're.
desk warrants.
So,
Yeah, you
Bench
can,
warrant.
there's the two different prongs there, the administrative and the judges.
Well, I hate to cut off the
Okay.
conversation because
Yeah.
it's been a really
Oh,
good
sorry.
It has
conversation.
been, yeah.
Y'all have a good one.
Thanks.